Mm. Mm. Wow. I feel like it's a huge mistake for Biden to not resign. Well, we'll get to there. Hold on. Hold on. 4 DMs. I'm waking up earlier every day. How much? I've been experimenting with the starch stuff. I don't think I like it. I don't think I like it. How much do you have to use to not like? Was it actually worth? Where are my ironers at? How's the next 4 years under Trump going to be for you? Well, considering I'll probably save more on my taxes than you'll make in a year, probably pretty good if he wins. I'm in what they call a win-win situation, my friend. What's the blurry shit at the bottom of the camera? My water bottle. I had ironed my uniform for work for a year, and I can never tell the difference between using starch versus not using it. Maybe I'm retarded. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe on different fabrics it matters more. Starch is a lie. It's not worth it. You have the money, just dry clean everything. Actually, true. I could just separate like my shirts and pants and take them down to the, because I think we have one in the apartment complex. You only want to starch things like white formal collared shirts. Yeah, I realized after ironing a few of these, like the button-ups, I don't think it's worth it. Or things with like that fabric. I guess because I've never really paid much attention to clothes before. I always bought just like everything I bought must have just been made out of cotton or whatever. And cotton like wrinkles like crazy, or certain types of fabric. No, because the dress shirts must not be cotton. But whatever material they are, the very synthetic stuff from the Lululemon doesn't really iron well, and it doesn't really wrinkle much. So there's like no point in it. But like there's a few like t-shirts I still have that are made of cotton that are super worth ironing. Like if you don't, they look like trash. And the pants are always worth ironing, I think. Apostate. I don't know. All of that was fucking memes. Just put a moist towel over stuff you're gonna iron, and that's enough. Wait, why not just use the steam setting on the iron? Why would you put a moist towel over anything? Are you considering having kids in the future? And if not, are you considering TRT? Basically legal steroids at typical doses. Whether or not I have kids in the future will depend on if a person that I'm with really wants kids, and if I feel like I've got enough free time and they've got enough free time to do everything, maybe. But I don't have like a particular desire. I would say for considering TRT, you should check and see what the symptoms of having low testosterone are. And if you don't feel like you have those symptoms, you absolutely should not step into a male clinic because they will sell you anything. Just always know that. Anybody that says like, oh yeah, I went and talked to a doctor about this and they recommended blah, blah, blah. You ask them, who was your doctor? And if they say, oh, it's my general practitioner or whatever, oh, okay, sure, your GP or whoever you see normally. But if they say, well, I went to a clinic that specializes in this, they will always try to sell you TRT every single time. There's not a single man that will walk into a male clinic that will not come out with like 16 different recommendations for things. Fashion bar here, you're going to come to the realization that literally every piece of your wardrobe worth of shit will need ironing every time after use. It's going to make you frustrated. It's going to annoy you, but it's a fact of life, unfortunately. I don't mind ironing, like I said, like the cotton t-shirts I have for sure, but I disagree. I feel like there are some synthetic fabrics that you just don't iron because they don't really wrinkle. They don't hold anything. Like I was trying to get with some of these shirts, like you iron the shirt and like nothing is even happening. Like they don't hold creases, but they don't wrinkle out of the dryer. It's just, I think certain types of fabrics probably lend themselves more. Like cotton stuff, like I said, I have a few t-shirts that are cotton. Those iron very well and they wrinkle horribly. Yeah, but I think it more depends on the fabric more than anything else. A quick shout out. Apparently, apparently Trainwrecks said that he got in contact with Kicks Moderation. They chatted with them. They chatted with me. We had a chat back and forth. And yeah, damn. Squad W. Do you use fabric softener when you do laundry? I don't even know what that is. I don't think so, or maybe I do. I do laundry detergent, and then I use a dryer sheet in the dryer for static, I think. But I also heard that called fabric softener. To be honest, you can afford one of those dumb expensive cabinets that shake and steam press. I think that there are some things, I'm trying to think. There are a lot of like technologies that make some things easier and better, but for some reason there are some things that's like the old school ways are just always superior. At least when it comes to pants. When it comes to pants and dress shirts, I think you should always iron. Steaming is better than nothing, but I don't think there's anything that beats like a super crisp cuff or like a super crisp neck, whatever the fuck this shit is called, or like having the very nice crease in your dress pants. Steaming will make your clothes look not wrinkled, but it won't make your clothes look ironed. I think, especially if you're dressing up and you want to wear dress up clothes, having the nice crisp like things are, yeah, very, very, very. I think it's essential. Okay, let us read. Okay, Joseph R. Biden Jr. Wait, is this not the normal Joe Biden? My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we've made great progress as a nation, capital N. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years. Which one was that? Appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America's never been better positioned to lead than where we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve you as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and to let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you've placed in me. I believe today what I always have. There is nothing America can't do. When we do it together, we just have to remember we are the United States of America. Hello, everybody. I think the interesting thing is that there is no explicit endorsement of Kamala Harris, although I imagine now they're probably working behind the scenes to figure out what the next step is, because it kind of has to be Kamala Harris, but they might also want to try to do like an open convention. They also probably want to think about who Kamala's VP would be if they do that. Do you think Cenk will endorse them now? No. I don't think Cenk or Honor, I don't know if these people are liberals at all. I don't think they'll endorse anybody that comes up. I think I say that, is that actually true? Would that actually be true? I don't think so. I don't know if they would endorse Kamala. Cenk wants an open convention? No, he doesn't. They want a progressive. The open convention is a byproduct of them wanting a progressive. And that's probably the only reason why. Do you think this fucks Democrats since it's so close to election season? I mean, it could, or it could be really good. It's like I said before, the margins of like what can happen now are so much greater and so much worse than what it could have been. It could be that somebody gets swapped in. I'm just going to repeat what I said a week ago or whatever. Somebody gets swapped in and it could be like a huge revitalizing moment where everybody is like super hyped and the next candidate is like younger and, you know, yeah, and it could be an amazing moment. Or it could be that somebody else comes in and there's like a whole bunch of baggage that wasn't revealed before. And now you've got a couple months before the election and that's all people are talking about. Like, who knows? It's a lot of uncertainty. I will say, I think if I was running for the president under the Democrat thing, I feel like the only thing I would repeat over and over again, it would just be like being salty. But I would just repeat over and over again. I was like, okay, well, every single person in the country constantly said, why is it that these are the two candidates we can vote on? Why is it Biden and Trump? Why is it these two candidates? Well, time to show that that actually meant something when you said it. But do you take caller questions now? I don't understand how this bullying is democratic. You talked with Pisco yesterday about how primaries are not binding or whatever. How is this democratic? How is it democratic? The primary process? I mean, typically you kind of vote on your candidate. I mean, usually that's how it goes. But I mean, when you talk about primaries and you talk about parties, the parties are private parties. These aren't like the Democratic Party is not the government, and the Republican Party is not the government. Like there's not some constitutional obligation to them to say that like Biden has to, you know, constitutionally has to be the candidate forever, you know. The only mistake was not endorsing Harris in the statement. They're probably they probably don't even know what they want to do next. They probably don't know 100% if they want to endorse Harris. Probably I feel like they kind of have to, but true. Is there a site you go to read research papers? Not really. You predicted that yesterday. Predicted what yesterday? I think the writing was probably on the wall when stuff started getting leaked to the press, because it's pretty obvious that they're trying to do like external pressure. I think that's what we talked about yesterday, that the if all this stuff is getting leaked to the press, it's not happening on accident, right? Especially stuff with like fucking Obama and shit. Somebody sent me an email about this, I think yesterday morning, that I read, and I was like, oh, I guess that's pretty obvious. I didn't really consider that like if this much high level communication is getting leaked to the press, it's probably to put pressure on Biden to step down. Oh, wait, what? Hello. Okay, well, there we go. My fellow Democrats, I've decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president. It's been the best decision I've made. Today, I'm going to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. Oh my God, she's a child. She's an actual toddler compared to the age of these candidates. Only 50. She doesn't even qualify for Social Security. I don't even know if she can take early Social Security yet. Jesus. Freshly 59. Her live. I'm sorry, that's never mind. Earliest Social Security age. When can you start drawing early? It's 62, yeah. Do you think Kamala has a better chance than Biden? I have no idea. I don't think anybody really knows. You can see polls, which are snapshots in time of the vice president in a hypothetical race against Trump, but we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. Is this pretty much locked in now, or can the DNC throw a curveball still? I mean, it's not like legally locked in or anything. Like they could still change it, but realistically, it would be wild for them to change course. My assumption is going to be, if Biden stepped down, then he definitely was speaking to the party about it. So if he was speaking to the party about it and party leaders, there's probably a conversation about who to nominate, and there should be a coherent and consistent plan moving forward. So if this is the nomination that Biden is doing, unless he's doing this at to fuck the party or something, then this should be the direction for it. I doubt they're going to do like an open convention, and I doubt they're going to do picking a different candidate. I don't think they can pick a different candidate, right? Like realistically, I don't think that would survive. I think you have to you'd either have to do an open primary or you'd have to do like an open convention or something else, yeah. Why are people excited about Kamala? Do polls even suggest she'll do better than Biden in key states? I think it's literally right now. I really think it's just to get over the senility talking point. Well, no, it is. It's 100%. That's the only reason. Is she even good? What has she done as VP? I don't know what responsibilities she's typically taken on, but I think VPs tend to VPs can do anything. I think you're basically like the, I don't want to say servant of the president, but I think it's like whatever the president asks you to do that you kind of do. I think the only official job the vice president has is to be the leader of the Senate, which I don't think normally matters, but if it's split 50-50, the VP can cast the tie-breaking vote. I don't know if the Senate calls order like the vice president does ordinary work in the Senate when they're doing votes and stuff. I think it's only to cast a tie-breaking vote. I think. What does this do for the RFK Jr. chances? I imagine it can only help or do nothing because now everybody will kind of look and reconsider like who they're voting for. Like some percentage of Democrats might reanalyze their decision now. And so a lot of them are going to look at RFK. Not a lot, but like a decent chunk of people look at RFK. Probably nobody will look at Trump. And then some people might not vote. And then there's a lot of people that might now want to vote, maybe. Who knows? Like I said, it's all an open thing, you know? What will be the main talking point of MAGA against Kamala? I imagine something to do with California. It would have been similar to for Newsom. That would be my guess. Actually true. Metal. Oh, fuck. Could we... Okay, record this prediction, so if I'm right, okay, it's based, okay? I bet Donald Trump is going to say that this pick is anti-democratic and he doesn't support that poor Biden is being robbed of his nomination, just like Bernie Sanders is, and he's going to use that as an excuse to skip any debate with Kamala Harris. And he's not going to do any future debates with her so that he doesn't have to look like a fucking clown on stage. Oh, shit. He's already saying that? Wait, fuck. Wait, Link, where? I heard last week that he would resign at this exact time and date. It was widespread knowledge in D.C. The real powers that be are discarding the old puppet and fair. Oh, this is Elon. Oh, fucking Elon. I heard from a few people that that Biden was for sure stepping down. I think I've had 4 different people tell me that with connections to DC, but it was over the past week, and then they've all of them have like gone back and forth on it. So, but I'm not like ultra well connected in DC, so I don't know. Maybe there was chatter, maybe there wasn't. Maybe people were just talking shit. I have no idea. I don't know how many people have actually known, or if anybody knew before yesterday. I'm not sure. Thanks, Blue John. Other than Kamala Harris, who else could be a competitor against Trump? Well, the reason why Kamala Harris probably has to be next is oh wait, fuck. The reason why it probably has to be Kamala Harris is because for logistical reasons, she can inherit all the campaign funds, although that isn't necessarily like crucial because they could toss it all to a super PAC and run ads that way. But so logistically it probably has to be, but I think like morally or ethically or on brand, I think that it probably looks really bad for you to skip over your vice president and say that we're going to pick somebody else when it's like that's the vice president. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it's 100% about Biden's age, or is any of his other positions influenced this decision? I think it literally just comes down to that debate, unfortunately. Do you think there's anything to be gained from Biden stepping down from being president now and letting Kamala become the current president? It would probably add a lot of responsibility to Kamala. It'd probably add a lot of drama to the race that they don't need. It'd probably be good for her to focus on running rather than like making her the president and everything too. Yeah. This talk from conservatives about Biden stepping down being anti-democratic is so hypocritical. Conservatives have no valid opinion on anything related to government, democracy, or anything else. Most conservatives don't even know the three branches of government. It's not. Most conservatives don't even want three branches of government. So don't ever listen to a conservative's critique on this. Same thing with progressives as well. They have nothing of value to contribute to the conversation. The only people whose opinions you should care about are DNC party member opinions or people that are like strong Democratic voters. Conservatives don't matter. They don't have the concern of the party or the country at the front of their mind. And progressives don't really care either. A lot of them are illiberal. They just want to like shoehorn in their own progressive candidates. So like people like Cenk and Anna, their opinions on this aren't really relevant. They don't matter. Cenk himself said before he wasn't going to vote for Biden before the debate performance, so it didn't matter. So. Opinions on Pete Buttigieg as a nominee. Personally, I really like Pete, but I don't know if everybody's drawn to that aesthetic. There's a weird, I don't know how to say this. In the United States, I think for gendered roles for men, I think intelligence is not as highly valued as like charisma or there's like a presence. I don't know how to explain it. But like having somebody step up and be like knowing all the stats and the figures and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that Americans value that as much. That's a trait that I value a lot. I hold that trait in very high regard. That's why I like Pete so much in the last primaries. But I remember seeing, I don't remember if it was polls or maybe it was just articles, but people were saying they didn't like Pete because he was too elitist. Like he speaks 4 languages. Wow, look at this guy. He's so smart. Oh my God, right? People like didn't like that. They actually, they just weren't a fan of that. So I don't know if, I don't know if Pete would ever be appealable to the, and then also the minority vote is a very important component of the democratic process for the Democrat Party, and Pete's gay, so it'd be a first husband, so that would be that'd be a thing. Good VP pick, I think, matters a lot here. I feel like you have to have, it has to be somebody to shore up one of the important states, right? What are the important states right now? What is it like? It's like Michigan. What is it like? Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania. What are the ones that are like, that people are considering like the big ones? Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Gretchen is, dude, this would be such an aggressive ticket. A woman VP and a black woman president. My God. Opinion on female candidate versus a man. Will people be misogynistic? I mean, I think it plays a little bit. I think race and misogyny play a little bit into it. But and then together, you've got your intersectional dynamics. But I mean, I don't know. Who knows? You know, Hillary destroyed Trump in the popular vote. Obama, you know, had record turnout for his election. That was a woman. That was a black man. Maybe it doesn't matter as much. Maybe we're, in a way, in a way, as much as it triggers people on the left, I think we're kind of past that stuff a little bit. Like, I feel like the Conservative Party today, it's so interesting to see how the political and cultural landscape changes in the country. I think that the Conservative Party today doesn't really manifest racism the same way that it kind of did 20 years ago. And it doesn't really manifest sexism the same way either. You have people that, like, I feel like now the focus is on trans people. Like, that's the thing that people are so incensed about on the right. And then you have, I don't know if the gendered stuff I just feel like it hasn't been as much of like mainstream Republican discourse. But also, this is like going by what I see on media networks and everything too. Maybe there is like a lurking feeling that is kind of like creeping somewhere that just hasn't come out anywhere. I'm not sure. Hillary won the popular vote. You never mentioned that. I feel like I've said that twice today, and I feel like I mention it literally every single time. But we've been hearing from these supposed centrists that they just can't vote for Biden because of his age. I'm curious on what their excuse will be when they still vote for Trump anyways. Well, keep in mind there's a difference between like the centrists online. If somebody says they're a centrist online, they're always a conservative. 99% of the time, they're conservative. They just, for some reason, well, no, it's not for some reason, because they want to have the aesthetic of being nonpartisan, so they won't say it, but... I think, oh man, I hope Kamala gets her debate with Trump. Is it fair and also soy to realize that women voters are basically our last line of defense from turnkey tyranny? I think women are an important vote. It's very funny to me to listen to some people in the United States talk about how worthless, and I think it's mainly the left that does this, right? The left will say shit like voting doesn't matter. I'm sorry. When I say the left, I mean the far, far left. So like, voting doesn't matter. Who cares? Nobody gives a fuck. Your vote doesn't mean anything. And then on the right, they're like, we have to find everything we can to ban voting in as many ways as possible. No mail-in ballots, gerrymander like crazy, no early voting, cancel these voting, right? Like on the broad part, like on the right, there's so much focus on like, how do we restrict voting as much as possible, as many ways as possible? On the left, like, I don't even think voting matters. Probably doesn't matter at all. Who cares? No one cares. And it's like, interesting. Yeah. I was going to say from real life experience too, it was very interesting going online and see, and again, it might just be the city we were in, but especially online, especially white people talking about how irrelevant voting is and it doesn't solve issues for minorities and the people that really matter. Whew, when we went door knocking in, what was the city? Savannah? No, no, not Columbus. What was the state we were in? It was in Georgia. What was the city we were in? Somebody tell me. Was it Columbus? Savannah. It was the one that we did for the, it was the first big door knocking thing when we still had Doug of AK with us. It might have been Columbus. I remember walking, when we were walking door to door to make sure that people were registered to vote, oof, those black people, they knew all of their shit. I didn't go up to a single fucking household. When I knock on the door, like, hey, just making sure you guys know you're like, baby, I already registered, blah, blah, blah. I dragged my husband down to the police, blah, 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 blah. All of them, every single fucking door that I went to, every older black couple, all of them were registered to vote. All of them knew exactly when the voting dates were. All of them knew who they were voting for. It was a really big deal. I don't know how many other people came canvassing with us in Columbus, but yeah, they all had their shit on lock. I was like, damn. Are you in favor of RFK Jr. being allowed to debate? Fuck no. What? He polls pretty high, like 10%. You can go debate Trump if he wants. I don't think Kamala should waste her time on her, though. Also, I'm sorry, but if you're somebody who is like moaning about Biden's like mental performance or whatever, and you want to vote for the literal brainworms candidate, get the fuck out of here, okay? Do you think there can be such a thing as a true centrist? When I think of like, it just depends on what a centrist means. It really comes down definitionally. I think there are some definitions where I'd be included as a centrist. So for instance, I've got some positions on the left, some on the right. generally I'm on the left though. And then some people could consider me a centrist in that I'm not politically partisan. I have a core system of values, and then from there I generate political beliefs, and then most of them just happen to land on the left. But then in other ways, people say you're absolutely not a centrist, you're super partisan, because right now I'm basically vote blue no matter who. Basically, when it comes to Trump's administration, people that support him, I would vote for almost any Democrat conceivable over Donald Trump. So that would be like, well, you're not a centrist at all. So it really just depends on what you mean when you say centrist. And then other people are just too scared to take a position on anything, or they don't know anything. So they're like, oh, I don't prefer anybody, or they're carrying water for conservatives. I think that this is more commonly a pundit thing, like an online thing, than like an actual voter thing. I don't know. I don't know if I hear ordinary citizens do this as much, but I hear a lot of online content creators do this, where they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm centrist. I'm nonpartisan," but every single thing they do is in support of Trump and in opposition to Biden. So it's like, gun to your head, RFK or Trump. I think from what I've seen and from what I understand right now, without doing more research, I think it's an easy vote for RFK. It's an easy vote for RFK. He comes off to me as like being very conspiratorial. I really don't like his foreign policy positions. But it feels like he does have a respect for like rule of law and democracy, and he like kind of wants to move the country in like a positive direction. Or what he considers to be a positive direction. I don't think Trump wants to move the country in a positive direction. I think if he does, it's a byproduct of him satisfying his own narcissism. Trump's primary concern always has been and always will be himself. Oh man, I saw a clip of this really smart young guy talking about how he was saying that if Abraham Lincoln was running today for president, he wouldn't be able to do it because the only thing TV does is allows narcissists basically to run for president, and the television and entertainment destroys Americans' ability to pick good candidates. Kind of. Hold on, let me find this clip. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Some people, the ultimate goal in life has been becoming the President of the United States. Would you like to be the President of the United States?
I really don't believe I would run it, but I would like to see somebody as the President who could do the job, and there are very capable people in this country.
Most people who are capable are not running for office. Most men are frightened of politics today.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It is a shame. The most capable people are not necessarily running for political office, and that is a very sad commentary on the country. They had major corporations and they had this and that, but they are not running for political office.
Why wouldn't someone like yourself run for political office? You have all the money that you possibly need. You've accomplished a great deal, even though you are only 34. I know there's a lot of things that you possibly can do in the years ahead. Why wouldn't you dedicate yourself to public service?
Because I think it's a very mean life. I would love and I would dedicate my life to this country, but I see it as being a mean life, and I also see it as somebody with strong views and somebody with the kind of views that are maybe a little bit unpopular, which may be right, but may be unpopular, wouldn't necessarily have a chance of getting elected against somebody with no great brain but a big smile. And that's a sad commentary for the political process.
Television, in a strange way, has ruined that process, hasn't it?
It's hurt the process very much. I mean, the Abraham Lincolns of the world. Abraham Lincoln would probably not be electable today because of television. He was not a handsome man, and he did not...
Interesting. Look at Gavin Newsom tweet. Which tweet? Why don't you stand on if Trump wins, all minorities and LGBT members will be in camps? Why not go full schizo if you're scared of Trump ruining our democracy? Because I don't know if he would put all minorities or LGBT people in camps. I don't think Trump hates minorities or LGBTQ members. I think he's got really stupid views on immigration. I think he's got really stupid views on immigrants. And I think he's got probably just whatever the bog standard conservative views are on trans people. But my issues with Trump don't have to do with like id poll stuff. They have to do with like American like democratic institution stuff. Jesus Christ. Why does the whole trans discourse seem overblown and inorganic? Is it possible that the whole narrative was designed to cause chaos? No, I think the trans narrative comes from the fact that conservatives have no policy and no platform to run on. So they have to focus on niche social issues because it's literally the only thing they have to talk about, and it's the only thing that energizes their base. If you envision like a fascist as like an ultra-nationalist authoritarian, then the only thing that a fascist needs to talk about are things related to ultra-nationalism. So like tariffing everybody, being highly protectionist, things talking about just the country being the best of the world and we need to get away from everything else. And then talking about how you basically want to be like an emperor or a dictator, right? These are the only two things that the Republican Party basically focuses on. Things like policy and shit, nobody really gives a fuck. Just going through tweets. Did you see the leak call between RFK and Trump? I haven't listened to it, no. I saw headlines about the call, but I haven't I didn't listen to it. Democrats should nominate Mitt Romney, according to Aaron Sorkin. Jesus. Trump seems quite friendly to RFK Jr. in the call, more so than he publicly shows. Yeah, because he probably wants to keep RFK on his good side, because if RFK is a reasonably popular candidate, the only thing you want is for RFK to peel voters off the Democrat side. You don't want him to peel voters off of you, right? So of course he wants to be on his good side. Daddy Destiny doesn't know what he's talking about. What are we talking about? Immigration is a massive issue that energizes the Republican base way more than trans issues. No. The Republican Party doesn't care about immigration or immigration reform or anything to do with immigration. The only thing the Republican Party cares about are pictures at the border if they think that there's like a new caravan coming. That's it. Republicans have no concept of immigration. They don't even know what's wrong with our border right now. They didn't give a fuck when Trump killed legislation in the House to fix our border issues. Like, Republicans only care about it as a talking point, and they only care about it when they're like scary pictures of it. But otherwise, Republicans have no desire, no concept of what's going on, no ideas for how to fix anything. Like, it's just, yeah. Any chance they open up the nomination, or is it Harris for sure? It would be really weird to open up the nomination. It's not impossible, but man, it feels like if Joe Biden is tweeting this, that he's endorsed Kamala, then the DNC's probably decided to throw their weight behind Kamala, which means she's probably going to be the pick going forward. I doubt they would pivot from here to an open or contested convention or an open convention. Otherwise, Biden would just like release all of his delegates or something, right? At Destiny, just admit the House bill just gave more money to process the immigrants. Nothing to stop the number coming over. One, you're perma-banned for being factually wrong. And then two, you're factually wrong because the bill allowed the government for the first time to put a cap on people coming over seeking asylum if the numbers were hitting too high of a mark. You don't know that, though, because all you've ever heard are Republicans lie to you and say that the bill basically made it so 5,000 a day could come over, ignoring the fact that there are many days where far over 5,000 come over, and the bill allowed them to cap it at 5,000. So at most, only 5,000 people could do an asylum seek per day, whereas right now sometimes 10,000 or more will seek it. Yeah, but you heard that. You heard that probably from a centrist candidate, or not a candidate, some centrist pundit or a Republican pundit that said, oh, they wanted 5,000 a day coming over, not realizing that was a cap, not a minimum. Give us one of your right-wing views. I think the whole anti-immigration thing is an innate ethno-nationalism thing, and the reason they focus on illegal immigration is because the social and political climate is not ready for them to be outright with their feelings, that they don't want more racial aliens living in their country. I don't know. Racism and how it manifests and everything in the Republican Party is very interesting. I don't, just from like the broad stuff I see, even from pretty far right commentators, like if I'm thinking of like Daily Wire people, I don't usually see much like outright racial rhetoric. Sometimes I do when it comes to like crime in cities, or people will flirt with kind of like anti-black stuff. But I think it's very telling that when you look into far right racist groups who are like alt-right, like far right in the US, these groups are way more ethnically diverse than they used to be, which is very funny and very interesting, right? You've got Nick Fuentes doing content with, who is that, the black cringe rapper dude? But like, your neo-Nazi movements in the United States are incredibly ethnically diverse compared to, but I don't watch a lot of Fox News, and I don't listen to OAN. I don't know how big OAN is anymore. I'm not sure. Didn't they just have a meltdown over RNC speakers? So on Twitter, there was a huge meltdown over the Indian wife thing, but I can't tell how much of that. It's really, really hard. It's interesting because I feel like Twitter went from being, this is an appropriate graph. If this is real life, if this line represents the flow of real life, I feel like in like 2010, like social media is like way out here. It's so not representative. And then like as times changed and we hit probably the peak around from like 2018 to 2022, Twitter is like hitting more kind of like Bernie Sanders has to disavow activity on Twitter because like all of his fans and like the Justice Dems and everybody like pulling tweets and having people be big on Twitter and social media and playing Among Us on Twitch is like a really big deal. And now I feel like Twitter is pulling off like sharply from reality. And I don't know if it's because of the botting situation or if it's because of all of the paid by Russia influencers like Tim Pool and everybody that are giving like all the anti-American standard talking points to try to sow dissent and chaos. I don't know, but I feel like Twitter has become, I don't know if it's like over the past year. I feel like when Elon first bought it, I don't think that it was even bad in Elon's first few months after acquisition, but Twitter just feels very strange. I will say, though, that could also just be because of the political circles that I run in or the people that I fight with, too. Maybe other people's feeds look significantly different than mine, or... Rickety Rocket is just come into the country through the right channels. Too much to ask for, Destiny. I'll say this one time, just as a quick thing, okay? Also, remember, if you are a liberal, okay, conservatives do not care about democracy, all right? They do not engage in good faith. Remember, when a conservative gives an argument, he's playing with it. It's fun. This is a fun activity and a fun action for him. The actual argument, what's being said and the conclusion of said arguments don't actually matter. They play in it and they delight and you trying to grapple with them in some intellectually consistent or rigorous manner, they don't care. It's all a joke to them. None of these people give a fuck about the country, about America, about the structure of the country, or anything else, okay? It's all just a joke or a game to them. This is conservatism 101. In the United States right now, as of now, this is conservatism 101. So the answer, the factual answer that I'll give to you, but it's not going to change your mind or any conservative's mind because you don't care, is the big issue that we have right now with immigration. The huge issue that we have right now is the fact that you can walk up to the border and claim asylum. That's the big issue right now. The reason why it's impossible right now for the government to do anything is because of the laws on the books. If an immigrant comes up to the border and they say, we want to seek asylum, you basically have to cut them a ticket and say, okay, well, here's your hearing. It's in like 2 years because we've got like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million cases backed up right now. The legislation that was originally written by Senator Lankford that was proposed in the House that Democrats and Republicans initially were supporting. We're going to increase the amount of funding, increase the amount of judges available for asylum processes, increase some funding for border security, cap potentially the maximum number of asylum seeking per day if it exceeded a certain amount. This was supposed to deal with the asylum seeking problem. But the issue is Donald Trump called up the Republicans, and none of what I'm saying right now is conspiracy. It's all open. We watched Ted Cruz talk about this. Donald Trump basically made a call and said, you guys can't support this. I need the border to remain open until election day because conservatives don't care about the country. They don't care about the health of any of the people here. They only care about holding on to power right now. So the Republicans pulled their support from the bill. Again, we watched Ted Cruz say even before he read it, he didn't support it. And now after he's read it, he definitely doesn't support it, right? But they all pulled their support from the bill because nobody wants to backstab Daddy Trump because Trump will destroy your career, as he's done to multiple politicians in the past. And all Republicans want to talk about when it comes to border security is building the wall and making the wall taller and helping border security. But it doesn't matter right now. You don't need a wall. It's not doing anything because people aren't sneaking into the country. People aren't tearing down the wall. They're not climbing over. They're just going up to a border patrol person and saying like, hey, can I seek asylum? Oh, you have to accept me. Thanks. Give me a ticket. I'm going to go hang out in here while I wait for my case. And then boom, you're done. You can have the most Terminator T-7000, whatever fucking wall you want. It doesn't matter. You're just going to walk up to a border agent and seek asylum. That's the big issue right now. That's why shit is so fucked right now. But yeah. Thoughts on Alan Lichtman's election model now that Biden has dropped out? I don't do much with the 12 keys guy. I've heard him talk about it before. But the... hold on, somebody linked something. He's on... I think when he talks about the key thing, he says that as long as it's Kamala running, that they can still inherit like the incumbent key or something else. But yeah. You just paraphrase his quote from, is it Sart? Is that how you pronounce his name? About anti-Semites and applied to conservatives? Yeah, that's the quote that I had in mind. Congratulations. Why is it that all of a sudden over the last decade, we're hearing about the seeking asylum thing? Did something change? Honest question. I don't know, actually. When I was doing my immigration research, I never looked up that question. Maybe I should have. I don't know what changed significantly because it seems like this vulnerability was always open. Maybe just nobody knew about it. Nobody was taking advantage of it. Destiny, if what you're saying is true, then why would anyone illegally cross the border? Wouldn't that be close to 0 people? They could just go to a border crossing. My understanding is that's basically what's happening now. That the reason why the numbers have grown so much and the reason why the apprehension rates have grown so much, like it used to be that I think you'd only catch like 50 or 60% of the people crossing, and that number is in the 90s now. And I think the reason why that number is so high is because I don't think as many people are trying to cross illegally. They just go up and they seek asylum. Let me see if I can find this. It was in research, subjects, immigration. Fuck. What did I feel like I had a link saved here for this. There are no limits on the number of individuals who may be granted asylum each year, nor are there categorical limitations. Ordinarily, for U.S. immigration policy, we restrict the number of people coming based on certain countries being overrepresented, or we have hard caps. But the asylum process, there is no cap. It's so broken. Hold on. Oh, shit. It might be this. No, fuck. This wasn't what I was looking for. Like, when people, if you're going to talk to somebody about border stuff, here's one thing. Here's a heuristic that I would apply. How do you cap asylum? It's not known actually if you can cap asylum too. That's another challenge. For international law reasons and for U.S. law reasons. Here's a good heuristic when it comes to immigration as well. When somebody wants to talk about issues at the border and they give you one number and they build their entire argument off of one number, they probably don't have a good understanding of anything relating to immigration, because all of these numbers are like dependent on other things and they vary for a variety of reasons. So for instance, looking at apprehensions at the border doesn't necessarily give you a good key into what's happening, because apprehensions going up could mean that less people are coming in, or apprehensions coming up could mean that just more people are trying to come in, so more apprehended, but there are more people as an absolute value that are coming in, or apprehensions going up, or apprehensions going down, for instance, could mean, so I believe these are the numbers recently. Somebody can fact check me or look this if you want. But I believe like right now, I think that the apprehensions and everything aren't as relevant right now, even as a percentage of the people that they think are crossing, because again, people aren't trying to cross illegally and people aren't being apprehended crossing illegally. They just walk up and they claim asylum. So even if those numbers are going down, or because I think right now, I think we're apprehending historically a very, very, very high percentage of the people trying to come over, but it doesn't matter because they just claim asylum. And then you're kind of like fucked. Your ignorance on this topic is absurd, and you should switch topics. Oh, okay, no doy. My bad. If what you're saying is true, why is the border control so anti-Biden? I assume they don't run asylum at all. I don't know. I'd have to find out what the reasons why. It might just be traditionally like a Republican supporter. There is one policy that Biden changed that I think Trump had a better policy on. And I think that was called, I think it was the Remain in Mexico thing, where I think in the United States, for a while, if you came to seek asylum, while you waited for that to process, I think you had to wait in Mexico while it processed. But I think overall, the amount of asylum seekers that influenced coming over, I think ended up being, it was like 50,000. I don't think it was a big amount. But that would be like one thing that I think is probably better. Did I write anything on this? No, fuck. You should look more into Remain in Mexico. It was illegal, inhumane, and ineffective. Oh, okay. If I recall, the current international asylum agreement is called the Dublin Protocol. Yeah, but I mean, technically, the U.S. does have its own laws, so like we could technically make laws in contravention of international stuff, although that's probably not a good idea for a variety of reasons, but that sounds like a very big deal, though. The way to Mexico versus staying in the U.S. until your case. Yeah, but I don't think it caught that many people. I don't think that many people. Yeah. Why did Biden step down? I think it. Well, one of the things that I said. I always say this when people talk about like, because people ask me like, oh, talk to the keys for the election guy, or what about this, that this predicts everything. People always say like XYZ predicts everything for the election. If you get these things, you win the election, or this has mattered, this hasn't mattered. And then I've always said, well, one of the reasons why I don't care about these things is that they matter until they don't. So historically, and I think we've even joked about this on stream, historically debates actually haven't mattered at all, or rather they don't change the needle much. Except for when they do, I guess. So like for Kennedy Nixon, I think they might have. And I guess for this election, probably. I think that everything that's happened has just been a response to that one debate that Biden had on stage with Trump. That would be my guess. Do you think that Kamala's presidency will live up to Biden's? I have no idea. Who knows? For the next 4 years, nobody knows what they're going to look like. I think it's obvious why asylum is not capped. It should be people running from persecution, but as you mentioned, the issue is in enforcement, sorting out who's legit. Yeah, I mean, like, in a perfect world, but again, you can't even have these conversations because Republicans are deranged. But in a perfect world, asylum shouldn't be uncapped, right? Like, let's say that there was, like, a cartel got a hold of a nuclear weapon and they announced that they're going to nuke fucking Tijuana or some shit. And, like, 50,000 Mexicans want to flee across the border and seek asylum for a month. Like, that should probably be okay. The problem, though, is that you're getting a lot of people, probably. I wonder if is there a link to, like, what are the asylum case approval rates? It feels like, based on, this is just like news and shit I've read, I guess. I haven't looked at these numbers, but it feels like people are just seeking asylum because they just want to immigrate to the United States. They basically come up, they're like, hey, I'm seeking asylum because they just want to immigrate here. And it's like, okay, well, that's not really what that process should be used for. Percentage of asylum cases granted. Destiny, a guy ended his campaign after saying yeah too enthusiastically at a rally. Fuck, who was that? Was that Rick Perry? It wasn't, right? Oh, fuck, who was that? Who was that? Ted something? No. Was this in 2016? 12? Fuck, who am I thinking of? Oh, Howard Dean. This is a long time ago. Was this really that big of a deal? 2004? This is a long, long time ago.
You know something? You know something? If you have...
Genuine question, why'd they tie the border bill to Ukraine funding? Because bills are always, like, tied together, and the people are always trying to get stuff passed. Congress is its whole beast, okay? Destiny, I just wanted to tell you this before it's too late. Before it's too late. That's a little ominous. Thank you for being yourself regardless of what the status quo is. I love that I was able to at least witness someone of your caliber. Thank you, I think.
You know something?
Wait, sorry, fuck. I didn't realize how truly bad January 6th was till your recent commentary. I want to ask you how you consume information accurately. I feel like because of biases in media, how do I consume day-to-day articles to stay informed on issues while not getting biased reporting from either side mixed in? I feel like having to read 3 to 4 articles from different sources to get an actual idea of the current story. Realistically, the average American isn't spending the time to vet their information. Honestly, my dude, I don't know. I can do it because it's my job and because I enjoy doing it, like as a hobby. If you didn't enjoy doing it as a hobby or job, ideally, what I should be able to tell you is find a pundit that you trust and watch them, and hopefully they give you a decent, digestible version of the news. But there's like almost nobody that I would recommend in media. Yeah, it's so bad out there. Alternative media is like brain rotting, and Fox News is fucked up so hard too. My God. My God, that Dominion case. Holy shit. Unreal. Destiny, the 5K cap was irrelevant because the average daily is below 5K. The halt was on a rolling 7-day average. The single day closing was 8,500, not 5K. I don't remember you read or just an article. I think we read an article, but then I think we also read the bill itself. I understand what you're saying, that you were able to halt immigration to 5K a day, but it was based on a rolling average. That is true. I don't remember if the rolling average was 7 days or 14 days, but it was based on a rolling average, but it still would have given you the ability to cap asylum seeking, which is anything that could have brought it down would have been good, right? Okay, let me...
You know something? You know something? If you had told us 1 year ago that we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given anything for that. And you know something? You know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah! We will not give up. We will not give up in New Hampshire. We will not give up in South Carolina. We will not give up in Arizona or New Mexico, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, we will not quit now or ever. We want our country back for ordinary Americans.
Problem was they did this in 2004 and not 2016 when we had more meme energy. Don't forget hiring more asylum officers and judges to adjudicate and enforce cases. Even without a cap, the bill was good. Yeah, of course, yeah. It wasn't capped at 5K. Yes, it wasn't capped at 5K. It allowed them to cap it, or it allowed them to shut it off if it hit that 5K on a rolling average. It didn't cap it at 5K every day. There are certain days could exceed it, yes. But it allowed them to cap it or shut it down if the rolling average exceeded a certain amount, which right now they have no ability to do. As a foreigner, American media seems uniquely messed up. News channels in Europe are very chill. I don't know if it comes down to a legal thing, but in the United States, we still very much, I don't know if it's like the for-profit stuff or if it's the lack of a good state-funded media channel or if it's just America being America. We're very loud. We're very boisterous. It's just kind of our attitude. I don't know. Shut it down for how long? I don't remember if it allowed you. I think it was like you could either cap it daily or it might be to shut it down for a 2-week period, or it might have been shutting it down for the day, or it might have been capping it at a certain amount past. I'd have to go look it up, yeah. But I mean, this bill is dead as fuck, so. To be fair, the GOP passed HR 2 bill and the Dems sent it down to take it up because the HR 2 bill was unhinged. That bill was that bill never had a shot in hell at passing in passing the House. It was never going to. Or passing the Senate. That bill was DOA, and they knew it. They knew that bill was dead on arrival. Yeah, I don't know how much the fairness doctrine or any of this shit played into it. Sad to hear that. I feel like the other half of the issue is that people are so emotionally invested versus consuming information in a factual manner. Like ever since this Trump shit happened and Twitter evolved, people tried to appeal politics on emotional levels versus a factual one. I mean, like it's always been a factor that people are more emotional than logical. That's always been the case. Some people will pretend that at times people aren't. Some people pretend that only one gender is more emotional or whatever. But every country, every nation, every people are all susceptible to things like fear or whatever else, yeah. Did you see Turkey Tom's video on your recent stuff? I haven't had a chance to watch it, though. Or, no, not yet. Why does nobody seem to care about intelligence anymore? Buttigieg was a Rhodes Scholar. I don't know if Americans and men have ever valued intelligence. I think that's always been in American media, I think that's more of kind of a feminine trait. There's like some base level of intelligence that people expect you to have, but I don't think that super intelligence is seen as like a very big, like masculine leadership type of trait. I don't think that that's generally true in Western media and U.S. media. How does Biden dropping out impact your bets on him for the election? No, I would probably imagine they'll just get axed. They should. Did you see the article about Hillary Clinton to replace Biden? No, I don't think that's happening. I think you would agree that your take on Russia versus Ukraine is not as refined as the one on Israel versus Palestine. Do you plan to do a deep dive history of the USSR, Russia, and Ukraine, some of the one you did for Israel, or is it something you're not interested in at the moment? I don't know if I have the time or interest at the moment, and I don't know if deep diving into that is even worth it. Ukraine versus Russia is far, far, far less nuanced than Israel versus Palestine. Ukraine-Russia is pretty simple. In 1991, Ukraine was a formal country that was recognized as a sovereign state by the UN, the rest of the world. And then in 2014, Russia invaded without adequate provocation and stole land. And then in 2022, they invaded more and they stole more land. It's just bad. It's just, there's not much, yeah. Not much more to say there. Why does Elon dick ride that Ian Miles Chong guy? Do you think maybe blackmail? I doubt there's blackmail. What? They probably get, I don't know if there's like I don't know if there's some like Russian news aggregator that like mails out instructions or marching orders for all of these guys to do at the exact same time. But yeah, it's all like the normal chaos dissenting, or sowing dissent, like chaotic rhetoric is what these people generally all further. Elon and Eon are both people that are involved in that. It's like just constantly trying to make the country more antagonized and more chaotic. Don't you think people like Shapiro, Peterson, Weinsteins, and Sam Harris are valued for intelligence by men, regardless of your personal feelings about them? Yeah, I think people like that they're intelligent, but intelligence in Western media, in American media, is not generally seen as like a primary characteristic of like a very strong masculine leader guy type. It's still like, it's not, they don't want them to be stupid, but they just don't, but intelligence is not like a primary defining characteristic as much. And like in a leader type character, I don't think it's just generally not the case. Why do they want chaos? What's the end goal? I'm not sure. I mean, chaos, you profit off of it, right? When you shovel out disinformation and bad news, you make people, they watch your shit more, you get more clicks. I mean, it destabilizes America. I don't know why Elon would want that, given that he has such a high investment in this country and has gotten such a high investment from this country. I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you say to Republicans who don't agree with Trump, but who are also against a lot of what the Democrats have/are doing? I mean, it depends how much they want to argue. No reasonable mind can agree that Donald Trump would be good for the United States insofar as what the United States was envisioned as. Like any debate with a Trumpel has to start with getting them to acknowledge that they want to fundamentally change the way that the country functions by fundamentally altering the power of government or the distribution of power within the government. Yeah, usually this conversation would revolve around making Trump an emperor or a king, but most Republicans won't admit that outright. But what would you say was the cause for Hillary's downfall back then? On paper, she seemed like one of the most qualified candidates ever. The problem with Hillary is, I think Hillary was definitely it was definitely like a straw breaking the camel's back. There were a lot of ways that she probably could have won, but there were just so many other things that were kind of working against her. Republicans have been making Hillary like the key focal attack point for like a decade. Republicans had just constantly been trashing Hillary. And there were so many weird, stupid conspiracies that Republicans and alt media people were in charge of like spreading as much as possible. People don't even remember all the crazy conspiracies. You remember there was the Seth Rich guy, the Clinton kill list. You remember PBD? Is he Iranian? Did somebody tell me this? Like this shit.
You were very eloquent on the way you defended Hillary Clinton, on who she was when it comes down to politics. Are you still close to... This is not a conspiracy. You got the names of James McDougal, okay, Clinton's convicted Whitewater partner, died of an apparent heart attack. You know, Mary Mahoney, a former White House intern, was murdered July 1997 at a Starbucks coffee shop in Georgetown.
Ron Brown, he died in a plane crash.
Vince Foster was the next one. By the way, the James Dougal was a key witness in a Keith Kemp
Ron Brown was in
investigation.
a plane crash. Why is he on the list?
Ron Brown is another one, but there was a close person to this. Victor Razor. You got Paul Tooley, Ed Woolley.
Wait a minute, you're reading a list of people that Bill and Hillary Clinton knew. They're 70 years old.
I'm asking you this question and answer at the end. So you got Jerry.
No one wants to make Trump a king. Why did you speak such nonsense? Because conservatives want to make Trump a king. They don't trust the judiciary. They don't trust Congress. And they don't trust most of the executive branch. They want Donald Trump to have all the power, and they want him to be above reproach, as evidenced by the previous criminal immunity decision that they supported in the Supreme Court. People want Donald Trump to be able to unilaterally create and execute law in the United States and to be beyond judicial review for said creation and execution of laws. That's how conservatives see Donald Trump. He is a king figure to them, an emperor figure. that is above the law.
Terry Parks, Jane Bunch, James Wilson, Kathy Ferguson, Bill Shelton,
better
Danny
than this.
Bao,
You're better than this,
Florence
pal.
Martin, Susan Coleman, Paula Grober, Danny Casolero, Paula Wilker, John
I don't know any of these
Parnell
names.
Walker, Barbara Weiss. We should verify this yourself because you're running radio, so you should look it up.
I don't know
Charles
any of
Meisner,
these
Dr.
names,
Stanley
man.
Hurd, Barry Beal, Barry Seal,
Here,
Johnny
can you
Longhorn,
read me the
Stanley
URL you're reading?
Higgins,
Can you read me the
Herschel.
URL
We'll send you the most credible.
There was this. Fuck, I don't even remember all the Hillary conspiracies. Do you guys remember Uranium One? This one sticks out to me because it was one of the ones that I ended up researching. This was like when I was just getting involved in politics, so I didn't do too much reading or research or anything. But the Uranium One, this Uranium One thing was when conservatives were claiming that Hillary Clinton unilaterally sold all of our nuclear uranium to Russia so they could build nuclear weapons to kill us. There were so many crazy conspiracy theories. Then you had the whole Benghazi hearing where conservatives were basically saying that it was Hillary Clinton's fault that an embassy got hit, and we didn't have like enough protection for it at a point in time. People were saying the whole email thing we talked about for years and years, the Hillary's emails. There was Comey coming out and making statements to the public about the investigation. That was a scathing review of Hillary's in the State Department's use of emails. Like there was just so much. There was so much wacky shit that any one of these things, if they hadn't had happened, maybe Hillary would have won, maybe not, who knows? But yeah. I read about that in her autobiography, but I never really figured out why they made her public enemy number one. If I had to guess, I'm treading on. You can't tread on ice. Treading on thin ice. I'm skating on thin ice here. Oh yeah, Pizzagate. Holy shit. True. I think that the issue is that the Clintons were a very effective political institution. They like the Clintons were good at, I think, like fostering talent, supporting the party, like doing advertisements, helping like the Clintons were just a good political institution, and the conservatives had to take it down. They had to like destroy that. And so they became the focal point of their tax power. Yeah, Pizzagate was insane. The Podesta emails where people were trying to go through and code these. It's like, oh, this means, what was it? Like this particular thing. Oh, fuck. I wish I could remember some of the coding they had. That it's like when you ask to go out for drinks on like a Friday night, Friday refers to female and drinks refers to like double anal and this refers to child. And they were all sending coded messages through emails. It was like, bro, what? Yeah, it was so unhinged. My God. Do you think Rust Belt people being mad about free trade policies from Obama and Clinton played a role as well as into Hillary's defeat? It's possible, maybe, and Republicans played well into that. But again, like, it's hard because as a Republican, God, you can just say so much stupid shit. Only a Republican can get away with running the same candidate that just was president for 4 years with the same slogan of saying "Make America Great Again." Yeah, but like conservatives will promise you contradictory things, and people don't even realize like how stupid, like people like the asks are. So, for instance, like people will complain about inflation. I don't like inflation. I don't like that things cost more. And then people will say, "I support Made in America." And it's like, you understand these two things are directly contradictory, right? That if you want products, if you want goods and services that are made in America that aren't imported from anywhere, you're going to be paying a higher price for it, right? This would contribute to inflation, right? That things like tariffs on other countries to make their goods more expensive to import are going to cause inflation, right? That this is directly, these two things are directly at ends with each other. Yeah.